Well, thank you. Well, it's great to be here and great to see everyone. We just have a couple minutes, so I'll introduce myself quickly and then talk about where we are today and where I'd like to see us go as a state going forward. I've came to Portland in 1993 with the Blazer. Well, let me back up. I went to Yale University, economics, political science, came to Portland in 93, and it's at that time that I fell in love with Oregon and all that it has to offer. It was also at that time, probably more importantly, that I fell in love with my wife, who is a fifth-generation Oregonian. Our kids are therefore sixth-generation Oregonians. And eventually, part of the reason that I'm standing here in front of you is that I'd like to have seventh-generation Oregonians, although no time soon. They're 11, 10, and 8, so another 20, 30 years down the road would be fine with me. But I've since retiring, I attained my CFP. I've been a certified financial planner. I'm a senior vice president, was a senior vice president at an investment firm here in Portland, as well as having a foundation for kids with diabetes, which I've had for 17 years. And we've had a basketball camp out in Vernonia for kids with type 1 diabetes for 15 years. When asked why running for governor, it really comes down to this. While running my business, having the foundation, raising the family, I've become increasingly concerned and frustrated by the direction I've seen our state go. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this room in feeling that our state is not living up to its potential, or in fact even coming close to living up to its potential. And when you look around and you say, where's the state of affairs today? How do we rank as a state? Well, we're among the national leaders in unemployment. We're second or third in the nation in the misery index, which is unemployed, underemployed. You want 40 hours, you can only find 10 hours of work, or you've just stopped looking. That number is north of 20% now. We're among the national leaders in hunger. We're among the national leaders in homelessness. Our schools, a couple weeks ago, got ranked 43rd in the nation. We're 47th in the nation in job creation. And we're in the late 40s as far as funding of higher education. And so I ask you, at what point do you say enough is enough? And I also ask you, who could say that we're heading in the right direction? Well, I've come to that point. I've come to that point where I've said enough is enough and we need to go in another direction. We cannot continue down the same path we've been headed. We cannot go another 4 to 8 years down that same path. And I've been extremely frustrated by the answers I've heard from Salem. And it seems like time and time again we're told that our biggest problem is that we have a tax deficit in our state. Our taxes aren't high enough. And I say, no, you couldn't be more wrong. It's not a tax deficit, it's a jobs deficit. We don't need more taxes, we need more taxpayers. 148,000 of our fellow Oregonians have lost their jobs in the last 2 years. And equally disturbing is that there's the fact that there are fewer private sector jobs in Oregon today than there were 10 years ago. Think about that, 10 years ago. We have an acute jobs deficit. Now, I feel that a lot of this jobs deficit has been caused by a leadership deficit, where we have not had a strong leadership to protect and promote the businesses we have here now, as well as to attract more businesses here. And we need strong leadership. We need a governor who will use the power of the pen to rein in spending, power of the pulpit to push forth an agenda that encourages rather than discourages business, and the power of appointment to restore balance to the various boards and commissions that oversee our state. And that power has been held by one party for 24 years. We also have, we have a jobs deficit, leadership deficit, and I also feel we have a trust deficit. So many people I hear across the state feel that their voice is not being heard, they don't have a seat at the table, and they do not trust government. That is a key component that we have to get out. We have to reconnect with our citizens. And I've said as governor, I will spend more time, as much or more time outside of Salem as I do inside of Salem. I will make sure to visit each of the 36 counties each and every year. And I think it's important that we regain that trust. Now, I've talked about the problems we have. But one thing I've never had, and I think we as Oregonians should never have, is what I call an optimism deficit. I feel, or I wouldn't be here, I feel very confident that our best days can be ahead of us. We live in a state that to me is the most beautiful state in the nation, and I've seen pretty much most of them. We live in a state, we have incredible natural resources. We're on the Pacific coast, we're on the West Coast, we're on the Pacific Rim. We have deep water ports. People want to live here. If we have the proper leadership, if we take advantage of what we have, we can have an incredibly bright future. And I'm also optimistic that now is the time that we can make that change. We're seeing it across the country. That arguably the bluest state in the nation is Massachusetts. And they just, yeah, it's Massachusetts. They just elected a Republican senator. And if they are not the bluest, New Jersey might be the bluest, and they just elected a Republican governor. We can do it here. And I'm seeing as I'm traveling the state that the time for change is now, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.